and trying some sake.
We are solving the sake Rubik's Cube.
Okay.
Now, I actually have a Rubik's Cube in my house, but I left it by the window, and the sun beat down on it, and it yellowed the white and faded the yellow, so it's unsolvable. But we will put that aside. We can solve this one.
No, maybe you could just say it's permanently solvable. You know? If it's all the same color, that's an easy one.
Well, just the yellow and the white.
Oh, okay.
Everything else you can kind of see, but then you can't figure out the other two colors, so it's pretty messed up. All right, so we've moved on to another Kimoto. Now, this one is a Kimoto Junmai. As you remember, Junmai means they're only using koji rice and water. And this one is, so the company is Sho Chikubai, and this is a famous motif in like Chinese and Japanese art. So there's three characters. Sho is the pine tree, Chiku is bamboo, and Bai is plum. And these were called the three friends of winter. I sent you that article.
Yep.
Basically, they didn't lose their leaves, or they kept their beauty further in. So it's resilience and beauty and perseverance is what it means. Now, this is a sub-company, and it's called Shirakabegura, which means white-walled kura. Kura is the word for sake brewery, Kura, kura. So this is a really nice sake. I think this is absolutely fantastic. So let's go over the stats here. So, like I said, this is made in Nara, so Hyogo Prefecture, and this is milled down to 70%. And the rice is, once again, Go Hyaku Mangoku. Yeah, let's give it a shot, and we'll keep talking about Moto.
I like it. I honestly, the first one, I kind of like a little bit more than this, but this is good for sure. What do you think, Rob?
Oh, that's rich.
I think they both have distinctive. I think I like them both.
Even
about
the color on this one.
This has, I don't know,
a yellow tint to
I'm
it.
picking up like some sort of almost like a wood kind of flavor with this.
A little bit of vanilla in there too, maybe. It's got, and the color's slightly different. If you look at this one, the other one's a lot more clear.
Is there a creamy melon things?
Yeah, they're saying this one would be good with like Wagyu beef, fatty fish, things like that. And again, this is when you see, what we want to drive home is the Kimoto method is a method of making the yeast starter. And there's other methods. We'll go over several more as we go on. This was perfected in the Edo period, so 1603 up to like 1868. These guys had no clue what microbes were. They just did what worked, and this is what we end up with. These are brewed year-round now, but because you have temperature control. But back then, and there's still some breweries that wait for the coldest part of the year. Like Kanzukuri is cold temperature production, and Kan is the character for like cold, but it could also mean like the coldest period of the year. That's when they brew. Some people still do this today, and like I said, very labor intensive. So it's
is the reason that this is considered the epitome of sake just because of that old school labor aspect of it, that this is the way they originally did it, therefore this is the pinnacle of the sake art?
I wouldn't call it necessarily the pinnacle. Is what I was when I used that word, I'm saying the pinnacle of Kimoto style. The pinnacle of sake, it depends on what you like, right? Like what is the most pure? I mean, it all depends. These are never going to taste like a drip filtered Daigin. You remember the divine droplets that we had at the shop?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my wife's like, you opened that one? But so that might be considered the pinnacle by some people. But what I was saying is, so if you're making Kimoto style, the pinnacle would be to not add yeast from the lab.
Yeah.
And just wing it and hope it works. But that's a lot of money at stake. But what people should realize is Kimoto will be on labels most of the time. Sometimes they don't translate it. but you're going to get a richer style, sometimes gamier style, sometimes higher acidity. They're more likely to go with savory foods. You wouldn't necessarily have these with sushi or something that might have a little too much going on, maybe not quite as clean style. But it's a style of sake, and you can ask for it. Say, hey, do you have a Kimoto style? You definitely
Kimoto.
Right, Kimoto. So that's composed of two characters. Moto is the same. That just means yeast starter. But the key is the character they use means raw, unfinished, fresh. So it was kind of the name for the Moto during that period. So it's a long process. We are really condensing this for the show. There's a lot of steps involved. And a lot of it comes down to temperature control. That's where when they want to get the yeast activated, they keep this stuff cool for a while to get the lactic acid. They warm it up just enough. But if you warm it too much, the yeast will start activating before the lactic acid is built up, so you might have a weak yeast. They call that hayawaki, which is bad. That's when your fermentation starts too early. You don't want anything happening until those conditions are only the best or strongest yeast will survive the conditions. If it starts before that, that's why they'll keep the temperature down, and then they put these dakidaru. I think I showed you those, where they can put warm water or ice to manipulate the temperature. So
they look like old milk buckets.
Yeah, and they'll fill
them. And they fill with ice or warm water and just literally dip it right in the middle of it.
Right in the middle to control the temperature. And what you want is a gradual rise in temperature once you've got the lactic acid to protect from the microbes and make sure only the highest yeast will come in. Then you get the temperature up, and now your fermentation can start. But yeah, what do you guys think of this one?
I like it. What do you think, Rob?
I was trying to think if it was hints of orange or kind of citrus with that. I get the vanilla, but there's something that I get where you're talking about the wood, but there's something that's like just elusive. But it's good.
Sake is
maybe that's the umami. It's like trying to explain what umami is and understand it is like.
I think it's that Rubik's Cube element to the sake.
Yeah.
It's not quite solvable. Well, a lot of this is about, when I tell people they want to get into sake, you need to taste very widely to figure it out. There's all these different styles. Kimoto is one style of sake, and there's a bunch of takes on Kimoto. They're not all going to taste the same. And then next time we're going to go into the next method after this, which is Yamahai.
Okay. So for folks that really want to get into sake, tell them where you're at.
So we are located in the historic town of Oakland, Oregon. That's off exit 140, about 45 minutes south. We run a wine club, and people have been requesting sake in their wine club picks. We basically personally select everything for you individually. But you can come in the shop, and I have a lot of these things open. Like I mentioned a couple shows ago, when you open a bottle of sake, if you refrigerate it, you don't need to finish it right away. So come down, just ask us. We're at 110 Southeast 1st Street, and you can also listen to these shows on YouTube. Come in, and I'll pour you just small glasses of a lot of different stuff.
All right. Sounds good. Robert, Don, great to see both of you. Thanks for coming in, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Great day.
Hey, you too. It is the wake-up call, and we're out. Have a great weekend, and enjoy the heat, finally.